What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you guys have a great day so far. Today's video, we are on the test server here. We will be playtesting one of the brand new Echoes of Oz champions, the Wood TinMAN. Now, there's considerable hype for this Wood TinMAN, and there's good reason for that because he looks absolutely amazing. Let's take a quick look here at this champion. He is part of the Banner Lords faction. Aesthetically, he looks amazing. I love the details that Plarium put into this champion. He looks simple, but there's obviously very, very nice little bits of detail here, especially in the chest area. Look at this. This is like an oven with his heart, or an empty heart in there. But anyways, really cool champ. Looking at the base stats here, you are not disappointed. 1641 base defense, absolutely absurd amounts of defense. A little bit slow on the speed, 99 base speed, and of course we do get the boosted 63% crit damage. He is a defense-based damage dealer. So the big thing about this guy is whether he can actually hit. His kit looks very strong. His A1 is going to be a 15% heal whenever he fires this off. Doesn't matter what kind of damage happens. Doesn't matter if it's a crit or anything like that. It's just a 15% heal on himself. And he does get a little bit of a boost here from books. 20% damage from 2 books. Not too bad. His A2, a 4-turn cooldown when fully booked. Single target hit inflicts 10% more damage and ignores 10% more defense for each buff on this champion, meaning if he has 10 buffs on himself, his damage goes up by 100% and his ignore defense goes up to 100%, which is crazy. You can definitely set that up yourself. Then he also, not only that, then he also joins in with the rest of his teammates to attack that one enemy. And all of the allies joining in will also benefit from the buffs that are on the TinMAN in the same way. So boosted attack, boosted damage, and then boosted ignore defense. 50%, 50%, unless you're part of the friends group, which is 10%, 10% for each buff, going up to a total of 100% and 100% ignore defense. So it's pretty nuts. And then lastly, he does reset the cooldown of his A3 if he kills a target. 20% damage from 3 books. And like I said, 4-turn cooldown when fully booked. His A3 here is going to be an AoE attack on a 3-turn cooldown. He's going to start off by placing increased crit damage and shatter on everybody, not just himself, before attacking everybody. And then he'll ignore 5% of each target's defense for each buff on this champion. So right away, he's going to get 2 buffs. So that means he's going to ignore an additional 10% ignore defense, which means 25% ignore defense on this AoE. And then lastly, if he kills somebody, he's going to place Revive on Death on himself for 1 turn. The Revive on Death actually synergizes with his A2 and A3 because it's actually a buff also. So really strong A2, A3 here. Unfortunately, obviously, single hit abilities are not going to work super well against Mercurial, but he does have an ally attack ability here. But it is on a 4-turn cooldown. So we'll see how well these abilities hit and how well they perform, but so far they read very good. His passive here, he decreases the damage of all allies by 15%. He will receive that damage instead. If the damage received in this way exceeds 50% of this champion's max HP, places Revive on Death on this champion. So if the damage coming in exceeds half of his life, you put Revive on Death. If he dies, then you're not going to get the Revive on Death. If it's a multi-hit ability, he has to survive, the first hit of damage to get the Revive on Death. If the damage received in this way exceeds 50% of the champion's max HP, then you activate the A1 and it's going to snipe off the enemy with the lowest HP. That's really nice because you also get a heal out of this when you fire it off, and you could potentially kill off an enemy also. So a little bit of a, counter attack mechanic, very nice. And then lastly, to top that all off, he does receive increased defense up to 100% whenever he receives damage via this passive. Finally, for his aura, defense in all battles, very nice kit, to be honest. And yeah, 1641 base defense is massive. And judging by all of this, unless his multipliers are complete dog poo, this thing looks like it should hit very hard. All right, we're going to jump into my TinMAN build here. We do have the 5-star blessing here. We can safely assume that there's probably going to be a 5-star blessing event for this guy at some point during this Echoes of Oz collab. So we'll see how well he performs with the 5-star blessing on. Now, in terms of the overall build here, I did go with Stone Skin and then Lethal. There's probably an argument to be made that you don't even need Lethal on this guy because he can stack up the ignore defense so quickly. and that can be that can similarly apply to Helm Smasher. You might not even need Helm Smasher on this guy because of the amount of ignore defense he stacks up on himself. But with that being said, I think Stone Skin's a really, really good shout for him because of his passive. His passive is going to soak up a bunch of damage from your teammates. So having Stone Skin, at least in the beginning, will help him at least survive a little bit of that initial damage if he ends up going second. And it'll keep your teammates alive. In terms of total stats here, we got 7.9k defense, 284 speed, 363 crit damage. Accuracy is not necessary on him. We got 60k HP. In terms of the relic selection, I did go with Wand of Submission. He can't really protect himself from getting crowd controlled or anything like that. So I did opt for Wand of Submission. A gem that actually might work pretty well on the Tin Woodman is actually this one. Every time the wearer is revived, decreases all incoming damage by 10%, up to 30% damage reduction. I thought this would be a pretty cool one to check out just because, you know, he does have a bunch of revive on death on his kit. So maybe it will actually make a big difference. Now the Wand of Submission doesn't really provide too many great stats for him. Obviously, like HP is okay, but accuracy doesn't really need. Speed is okay. In terms of other kind of relics you could maybe put on him, I was thinking maybe Volcardiac Heart, like something just to keep survival. Even Aspect of Suroth might be interesting because it prevents him from dying, at least for a little bit. The other ones I was kind of thinking about even testing would be like something like the Last Laugh Amulet. I'm not too sure how good this amulet or this relic is, but I felt like it might be okay based on well, based on the fact that we're actually gonna be getting a bunch of the group relic materials for this group. Maybe some of you guys might have the Last Lap Amulet. This might actually be okay because it prevents, you know, himself from immediately dying. Maybe he has a chance to heal himself. Maybe he has a chance to heal himself and then obviously get the revive on death back kind of thing. Like I was thinking maybe something like this could work, but I tried it out a little bit. It didn't really feel like it worked too well. And then lastly, I mean, you could take more crit damage type of relics just to give them some additional stats. But for this case, I mean, I'm just going to go with the Wand of Submission here. In terms of the blessing choice, I went with Reaper here just for some additional finishing power. Something that else that could work really well would just be like something like Lightning Cage, just protect all the buffs that are going to be on him, protect the Stone Skin from getting stripped off. Actually, I think, actually, you know what? Let's go with Lightning Cage here instead, just to prevent some of the buffs from getting ripped off. And we are running Stone Skin, so Lightning Cage is probably going to be a little bit stronger. And then lastly, for the masteries, I did go down to double counterattack. I do like his counterattack A1 is very strong. And then lastly, we'll probably end up going down to Helm Smasher here. But definitely worth considering not going down to Helm Smasher, perhaps if you have a very heavy buff-centric team that you're using him in. And if you're trying to optimize, then maybe you even want to go down to Flawless Execution for an extra 20% crit damage. But this is the build we got him in. Let's test him out for some damage and we'll see how well he works compared to others. All right, what's up guys? So we're here going to test out his damage in the stage 10 of Dragon. No decreased defense or weaken here, but we will have a couple buffs available for him. We're going to buff up here with increased defense. That's something that he doesn't have in his kit is increased defense. So you can actually boost up his damage even further by bringing somebody with increased defense. Now on his A3, let's test out his A3 first. It's going to be an AoE attack. He gets increased crit damage and shatter, so that's an additional 15% ignore defense. And then he's going to gain a bunch of ignore defense from all the buffs that are going to be on him. An additional 30% ignore defense on top of the shatter, so that's 45% ignore defense. Let's see how much damage this AoE is going to do. And we can duck out here. That's quite a bit of damage, especially without decreased defense there. So about 780, no Helm Smasher or anything like that. Can make a quick note. And let's test out his A2. Now the A2 is not going to work perfectly fine here because it's more of an ally attack. So it requires the rest of your teammates. But let's see what it can do. So here it's going to be a single target hit and I'm going to get 40% extra damage and 40% ignore defense on the initial hit. So that's what we want to see, the initial hit. Let's slow it down for the cameras. 184 on the initial hit. All right, let's make note. And lastly, I think his A1 is going to be quite strong also. So let's do that. For a single hit for 60k, we'll make note of that. Okay, and I quickly swapped over the gear here to my Harima. We're going to do a couple tests here on her abilities just to see how hard she hits. We are using Sifi with the same kind of setup here. Let's test out the AoE. So the AoE is going to hit, and then we'll make note of that real quick. Here's Harima's triple hit, single target on the same Venus. Again, we'll make note of the damage output here. And I'm already seeing a really, really big difference. And lastly, we'll check out her A1 attack, again, against the Venus. Let's duck out, and we'll make note of this. All right, guys, so here are the multipliers for the Tin Woodman on the right-hand side. We are using the RSLX index website, and these are the results right above our head on the left-hand side. You can kind of see the TinMAN hit significantly harder with Harima with the identical gear on each champion. I think the TinMAN had like 200 more defense, but the difference in damage is pretty significant. And they're both running just CFI. They're running the same buffs and all that, but the TinMAN's going to benefit a lot more from the buffs than Harima is. And then we can kind of compare the multipliers to see how well it performs. So the TinMAN on the A1, the multiplier is a 3.7 over defense, and it has 20% damage from books. In contrast, Harima on her A1 is a 3.3. So the damage output, very similar, but the TinMAN should be about 10% more damage. Also, keep in mind that the TinMAN has higher base defense, so it's more likely that you're able to get higher defense on the TinMAN. So the TinMAN's A1, higher multipliers, higher base defense should equate to a lot more damage than Harima's A1. Now, the A2 is a little bit harder to kind of determine how strong it is. So it's a single target hit. It's a 3.7 multiplied by defense. It's very, very weak as a single target ability, but of course he has all those multipliers scaling up from buffs. So you have to kind of factor that in. So if he has no buffs, then this single target hit is going to be really, really weak. But as soon as he starts getting some buffs, it starts getting a little bit crazy. You can kind of see here, CFI plus his Stone Skin gave him 4 buffs. So that's 40% ignore defense right away. And you can kind of see the damage difference from the TinMAN, 184,000 on that hit versus Harima's 94,000 on her A2. Now, Harima's A2 is a triple hit, 1.6. So that's a total of 5.4. So a 5.4 for Harima on this triple hit, single target versus 3.7. But all that ignore defense and improved damage significantly makes up for the difference in multiplier. And honestly, the TinMAN should have a lower multiplier because his base defense is higher right off the bat. But in this case, if you give him even a couple buffs, it already makes up for it. And this does not include all your other allies getting that buff and targeting the same target. So all that other incoming damage is going to add up also. So this is just a crazy ability, in my opinion. And lastly, let's talk about his A3. His A3 is an AoE attack, 3.9 over defense. But he also gets increased crit damage and shatter. So there's a bunch of built-in ignore defense there. You can see his AoE hitting for 780,000 on the damage test versus Harima's 323. Harima hits for the same multiplier. You can kind of see here with her AoE down here. It's the same multiplier, 3.9 over 3.9 over defense. It's the same multiplier, but because the TinMAN hits, has more defense and hits harder with all the ignore defense and improved damage from his A3. You can kind of see where the big damage numbers are differing, right? Like his AoE is hitting for more than double what Harima's is. So what we can conclude about this is even though his multipliers seem low or average, all of the buffs added up, giving all the damage boost, all the damage scaling really brings his damage into like the crazy stratosphere, right? Not saying that Harima is like, a crazy damage dealer or anything like that, but even though they have the same multipliers, the TinMAN with all his buff scaling is making him hit significantly harder, as we can clearly see from the Dragon Wave test. Anyway, hopefully that concludes that we know that he can hit hard. Okay, so let's bring him out into some content and see how well he performs in practical settings. All right, guys, let's slap him on a team and see how well he performs in this Dragon Hard 10. Just for fun, not really a practical team or anything like that, but we got a lot of buffs going on. We got some pretty good ally attack companions that go with him. Well, you see how quickly he melted that wave there. But yeah, we're going to see some pretty crazy stuff here. We got a lot of buffs going on. Even just his A1 is really strong, but that was his ally attack ability, his A2. We don't have a decreased defense except for a ninja here. But yeah, really crazy stuff. Look at all these buffs popping off here. And then he can buff his whole team also with the AoE, the shatter, and then the increased crit damage. Here we go. We got some more buffs going on. That's just his A1. The Taras is A1 as well. We got the ally attack going in. And of course, he has his own ally attack. Let's see how much damage he's going to do with his ally attack. That was just his A1, 400k. And here's his AoE, 650k. And there we go. Super crazy. A lot of crazy stuff happening. That was kind of just, a fun run. Let's go for something else here. All right, let's test him out in the Fire Knight. Now, he does have an ally attack in his kit, which is really, really cool. And he can also be your wave clearing champion. So I'm going to try this team out. Yes, we are running double newts. You can trade in one of the newts for Neldor or Creodan, for example. But we do have 2 ally attackers here also. You can see there, he can be the wave clear as well as an ally attacker. So it definitely works here. Let's see what I think my AI presets. Let's change this up a second here. All right, my apologies. I didn't set the AI preset on the Podrake, so we just set it up here. And yeah, ooh, there we go. We got the single almost full clear there. Probably if we took Reaper, we probably would have full cleared that with 1 AoE. And now we're going to go, oh, we got a reset there on the AoE. Very nice. Heading right into the boss. He's a very special champion because he has the ally attack in his kit while being a very, very strong damage dealer. So we're going to do the ally attacks. We're going to bring down the turn meter, and then we're just going to wipe this boss completely out. So here comes the ally attack. There we go. Boom. Everybody goes in. And then at this point, we could probably just set it up so that we just go with the A3 bashes. But in this case, we're going to go with the A1s to bring down the turn meter a little bit more. Turn meter boost with the increased speed. There's the ally. Oh, sorry. There's the AoE. There we go. Big slams there. Full max hits. Another big slam there. Full slams. Very, very safe. We definitely, yeah, very, very safe. In this case, we probably should have set it up maybe a little bit differently, the AI. Or you can remove one of the ally attackers. So, for example, Lei Mikage. I think we can make this run maybe a little bit more smooth. Let's see if we actually get it here. Oh, we still get it, but it should have been more smooth. You don't need 3 ally attackers in this team. So we can definitely remove one of the ally attackers. But I just wanted to show proof of concept. Hey, it works. He can be an ally attack AoE damage dealing champion for this kind of team. You can see here, TinMAN, 3.8 million damage, more damage than both of the newts. Although the newts didn't really get a chance to fight against the waves, he just obliterated all the waves for them, right? But it's really, really good. I mean, this is not a fully optimized team, and we're still running 90 seconds or whatever, but it shows that he works exceptionally well as a ally attack champion. All right, and another spot where the TinMAN is going to be exceptionally well is obviously going to be Faction Wars. He's an amazing champion, bringing great support abilities as well as great offensive abilities here. And we paired him up on a team with some really, really good buffs. Like he's going to benefit from buffs the same way that Taras is going to benefit from buffs. We are running Alice here, and Alice is going to be our kind of, crowd control champion. She is bringing decreased defense here as well. Oh, you saw that the A2 killed the champion, so then there's no ally attack animation going into any champions, of course, because everybody's dead. Here we go. TinMAN's absorbing some of the damage. Let's see if we can get a revive on death on him from his passive. Nope, his AoE comes back. He kills somebody, gets the revive on death back on him. Nope, we still don't get the revive on death from his passive. Big heal there from his A1. Love it. Love to see it. Alice with the strips. Alice is very, very good. Free champion, obviously. If you guys haven't seen a showcase on her, make sure you guys check it out on my channel. And here we go. We are at the boss, only a minute in. And this is full auto, no presets or anything like that. We're working out really, real nice. Let's see what the TinMAN. TinMAN's going on the AoE. Big slam. Ooh, Taras with the big follow-up. He's like, you can do an AoE slam? I can do an AoE slam. Kaboom. But like I said, this is a pretty good team for both of those buff-centric champions. Did you see that? 3.8 million damage from the TinMAN. TinMAN, absolutely amazing powerhouse there. Just showcasing why he's so ridiculously powerful. All right, guys, what about Hydra? Let's bring him into Hydra and see how well he performs. He's not in a perfect PvE build, so we did have to swap his build out just for this PvE content. I'll show you guys the build right after, and then we'll swap back into the arena build with the stone skin, and then we'll do some arena. But first, I want to show you guys some gameplay here in Hydra. It's actually amazing how crazy this guy can get. We have a lot of buffs on this team, so that's really what you want with this guy, similar to how Taras works. But yeah, fit him in a team with lots of buffs, and he will do lots of work, guys. All right, let's see this guy in action. All right, so let's do the AoE, let's do the ally attack. Remember, he's an ally attacker. That's how crazy it is, right? With the one-time speed, we're gonna fly into there you go, head of decay, 738k on that first hit. And there's everybody else going in with all of their increased damage, and of course the extra ignore defense that comes along with his ability. Boom, there's that head all gone. We got buff increasing here. We got HP burn for more damage. Boom, that head's gone. Yeah, this is some crazy stuff, that's for sure. This is some crazy stuff here. All right, here comes his AoE attack, buffing everybody, just doing tons of damage across the board here. But let's see how he stacks up against some of these really, really strong champions, because we are running Ninja with Mikage, and we're running Crowcat also in this team. So we're running against two of the best, non-Titus, non-Trunda type of champions here. What else? We got the AoE Crowcat. Crowcat just doing ridiculous amounts of damage, even without Shayak. There's that A1. That was an A1, guys. That was an A1 from the TinMAN. 1,000,000 damage. Yeah, pretty absurd, not gonna lie. Really, really nice. I love it. Love the big numbers, of course. Right here comes Ninja with his A1, 2,000,000 damage. 2,000,000 damage. If Ninja's doing 2,000,000, but TinMAN's doing 1,000,000, we know that TinMAN's hitting for pretty good numbers there. And then here comes his ally attack. It's gonna fly in 1.8 on the initial hit from the TinMAN on his ally attack. Crazy, crazy numbers. Let's keep going here. Really would love to see a full run to see what kind of damage numbers we can actually put up with the TinMAN versus this crew. Here comes his AoE. Just 850, just because everybody else has the protection against the damage. And we have really good resistance here because of Androck. Really, really strong team, really fun team. But yeah, let's see how much damage we can do. The AoE there, just big smacks, smacking everybody up. Increased duration. Let's do the A1. Where's the A1 going? Right into his face. 668. Let's increase their damage with our Hex Cirsa, another really strong champion. We got a bit of extensions happening. Let's kill this head of torment. Boom, everything dies. Amazing. Boom, everything dies. So fun. And let's do the ally attack right into this full health. 4.5 million on that initial hit, guys. Oh my god, 4.5 million on that initial hit. Crazy damage. And Ninja again coming in. Boom. I guess when you have the decreased defense landed on, then it's going to do obviously way more damage. Let's see what else. AoE. Kind of just spending his attacks here. Now, of course, all the turn meter stuff from Androck is really nice. Androck, champion that I just recently started building out and I recently started playing with. Really, really good champ. Mainly for PvE, though. That's what I found. I think everybody would agree on that. We'll do a little bit more gameplay here, and then we'll do a couple quick battles just to see what kind of numbers we're putting up here. And I'll show you guys the build. I did have to change the build up a little bit. So Cirsa, another champion. Absolutely loving her right now. Brings a lot, especially for Hydra. Brings a lot. Here comes the TinMAN's A1. Who are we going to put it into? We're going to put it into, let's go the head of Wrath. Boom. 1.4. He's not decapitated, guys. He's not even decapitated. 1.4 from an A1. Crazy hit. Crazy hitting ability. Going to be interesting to see him in the arena. He doesn't have ignore defense on his A1 though, so he's just hitting just super hard. All right, let's cap it off there. Let's check out the damage numbers. We'll do some quick battles, and then we'll see if we can get some full runs out of this. We just did 100 million. Sursa's doing 13 from her Hex. Ninja's doing 17. That's Ninja and the Lady Mikage connection. Ninja's going to do more damage as the fight progresses, so he's not full power yet. Androck 1.5. We got the TinMAN, 17. So similar damage as Ninja. And keep in mind, Ninja is with Mikage. And then Croak had absolute boss dog with 51 million damage. Let's do a couple quick battles here just to see how much damage we can actually do over longer periods of time. Hopefully it goes 1,000 turns. Might not. We don't have a revive or anything like that. But honestly, it was so safe. 716 million damage. Ninja doing the heavy work, 350 million damage here. Crocat doing 263. TinMAN looks like he died early. How did that happen? He must have eaten a bunch of damage and died. So anyways, let's try that again. TinMAN actually died. Let's try that again. But it did go 1,000 turns. So he must have died really early. Anyways, this time TinMAN died again at 18 million. Did I remove gear from this guy or something? But interesting how he could die. You see here Ninja out-damaging Crocat here, but Ninja is with Lady Mikage. So Crocat's not benefiting from Shayek's counterattacks or his increased damage from his counterattacks. TinMAN here is dying. I'm not sure why. He must be doing his ally attack into like reflect damage or something. That's the only way I can see him dying. We're running him with a merciless set here. 7.5k defense with 295 crit damage. It's not bad, but it's not a crazy build or anything like that. You know what? I'm going to run a proper run for at least a couple hundred turns, and we'll see the damage spread after I'm done. All right, so I literally just played manual until the first champion got eaten, and we're doing 240 million, boss turn 32. We're just going to end it here, and then we'll take a look at the total damage output for this team. So 15 million here from Sursa, 59 million from Ninja, 59 million from the TinMAN, and 99 million from Crocad. Again, there's probably room for Ninja to keep growing his damage, the escalation part. But the TinMAN definitely holding up his own in terms of overall damage. Crocat doing exceptionally well, especially when you manual him and all that stuff. I'm going to try to make a auto team here, and then we'll try to do some more quick battles just to see a general output a little bit better. I'm not too sure where he's dying, but I'm thinking he's dying from reflect damage. So maybe we need to bring in like a reviver or something just to make this a little bit more smooth. All right, let's try this team out. We replaced Androck here with our Sifi. Sifi's going to bring increased defense, increased speed, and a revive. That's what I was kind of looking for. I was looking for increased defense as well as a revive just to keep the TinMAN in the running for a longer run. I don't think Sifi's going to be better than Androck here in terms of overall buffs, so he probably loses a bit of damage. But let's see what we can do for the quick battles against these three different damage dealers. Hopefully we go to distance. Hopefully everybody has a good showing. 915 million. So this time it looks like the TinMAN does survive. He's doing 170 million here against 272 from Crocat and 382 from Ninja. Ninja pulling the weight. Of course, he makes up basically, he's equivalent to 2 damage dealers, right? Because he's taking up Lady Mikage's spot. But the TinMAN, not too shabby. And of course, he is making them do more damage with his ally attack and all his buffs. So he's definitely very, very strong. And he makes the rest of his team much better as well. All right, so here we go. We're going to take him into the arena. I switched his build back to the original build we showcased in this video. And that is going to be this lethal with Stone Skin build. Here are the total stats again, if you guys missed it, with the Wand of Submission, Lightning Cage, and Helm Smasher all applied. We're going to run him here with Sifi. Sifi brings the increase defense, which you really want because he has increased defense, and of course she brings a bunch of buffs, which is really good with him. That's probably going to be one of his weaknesses, is that he doesn't have increased defense in his kit, but he does bring increased crit damage and increase and shatter, sorry. So you know, maybe it makes up for it, but increased defense is a big damage scaling buff. So here we go with increased defense. And then we got Donatello for some more buffs. So a lot of buffs on him right now. 2, 4, 6, 8 buffs. We got 8 buffs on him. We can add 2 more with this. And that's going to give him 50% ignore defense. on this ability, which is pretty crazy. Let's see what it can do. And 1 time speed. Let's check out the damage numbers. That's 10 full buffs, 50% ignore defense, 306k against that Lazarus. But then, of course, this happens because mythicals are a thing. And I guess we'll stop her. And I guess we'll stop you. Oh, we got wanded. And then we got the reset happening. And we got the lockout. There we go. Remove some of that block damage stuff. And see if he's going to boost up again. And one more AoE. Boom. 380k there against that Siegfried. It's just, yeah, pretty crazy damage numbers. But, you know, one of the weaknesses for him is that he can't go through Mercurial, can't go through Unkillable, block damage, all that stuff. So let's see what we can do against this tankier team here. He does have some high resistance champions, but let's see what we can do. Maybe, you know, we could test him with like cracking roots or something, like just something to allow him to go through, you know, stone skin. That would be pretty good. But let's see here. So we got plus 10% damage, but all the damage in the world, and we can't, you know, we can't really kill any of these champions. All the damage in the world, we can't kill any of these. So, I mean, we can kill off the chicken first. Let's go with the A1. 92k on the A1. Increased defense is applied. We can sleep. Nice. Okay. And we can petrify you. Okay, let's do the ally attack against Nice. Let's see if we can kill him off. We do have to deal with the Freya stuff. So 567k. Did you guys see that on the initial hit from the TinMAN? Absolutely absurd. Absurd amounts of damage. And then the counterattack and the big heal. Oh my lord. Definitely absurd amounts of damage. Okay, let's keep going here. What else can we do? Let's reset. Let's do that again. We got to buff up again though. Oh no, we lost. We got block buffed. That's a big one. Let's do the AoE. This time we only have 2 buffs with the AoE. 2 buffs, still 116,000 against that Noel. It's gonna be it. Definitely can still weak hit and stuff like that. And here comes the A2. 140k with 3 buffs. Yeah, so that even with 3 buffs, that's still 30% ignore defense, which is insane. He's not short on damage. That's for sure. He's not short on damage. We might get cut in here by Mavara. Yep, we do. Okay. Let's see what else we can do here. We can't do anything. The Predator. Oh, Predator couldn't kill anybody, luckily. And we need to fix the lockout stuff. Okay, now we get a chance for a big hit here. How about our AoE? Is it gonna do anything? Oh, 186k against the Fabian, 96k against Mavara. Very nice. Down she goes. Oh, did you see that? The TinMAN took a bit of the damage there, which is very nice. Now we got increased defense happening. That previous hit, we didn't even have increased defense. And now we got our lockout. Yep. Here comes the AoE hit. 1 hit, 97k weak hit. That's pretty nuts. 97k on a weak hit. Shut him down. There we go. And ally attacks. We're going to weak hit here. 15k on the weak hit. Sleep. Let's hit him with the A1. 20k on the A1. We'll reset. Petrify him again. Oh, we got wanded. Increase defense back up. The TinMAN taking some of that damage is not too shabby. 640k. That's what it would have been. That's what it would have been. Yeah, his A2 is crazy, especially against like PvP. In PvP, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, PvE is going to be crazy. It's crazy too. Let's check out Sheenie's team here. Pretty interesting team. probably not going to do too well against this team, I think, because then the fears and stuff. Okay. Bunch of mercurial guys. Can't really do anything. Can't really do anything, unfortunately. It's not the best team for us to deal with. Take out the mercurial stacks. Ooh, everybody dies instantly. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Predator hiding in the bushes. Comes out, says hello, and then kills all our team. All right, what else we got here? A lot of these champions, obviously, the affinity is going to make a big difference. Magic affinity up against the force affinity, so that's a little bit of a problem. Let's check it out here. Do we end up going first? Yes, we do. Lock them out. Everybody gets locked out. That's nice. Supersonic set on the Crixia. Okay. How about we A1 here? And we will remove the Mercurial stack and big AoE smack. Boom. 270k against the Crixia, 213k against the Hilvy. I mean, no shortage of damage. No shortage of damage. There's a lot of buffs happening here. Lightning Cage, we got the Magma Shield, we got self buffs, we have CF for buffs, a lot of buffs happening. So he's getting a lot of benefit from this team. But this is, definitely a team that you probably end up potentially running with this guy, right? With all those ally attacks. Nothing too crazy, but go get the reset and petrify and A1. Boom, 68k. His A1 actually hits pretty good too. Same kind of deal here. Similar type of team. Again, Predator, negative affinity. Going to be a tough matchup for him. Cooldown, lockdown, everybody, which is nice. Keep in mind we do have CF 9-piece protection, so that's going to be a little bit helpful, I guess. Look at that, 500k on both of these champions. 500k. Absurd, right? Are we talking absurd? Pretty absurd. Consistent big damage here. Consistent big damage. But you do need the buffs. You do need the increased defense. We just got the revive on death from his passive here also. Super nice. Let's do the AoE again. Boom. 664k against the Fabian. And we even weak hit the Hilvy for like 90k or something. It's just absurd. Absurd amounts of damage. Absurd. Now, we probably need to put him in a team that kind of supports his weaknesses, right? So his weaknesses, obviously you can't go for Mercurial, you can't go through Stone Skin, block damage. So you're looking for, AoE multi-hitters. You're looking for a way to kind of deal with, Mercurial stacks. You're looking for a way to strip off block damage or unkillable or anything like that. But hey, this guy freaking smacks. And for PvE, PvP, absolutely just crushes it in terms of damage. But he does require a good team to go around him to cover some of his weaknesses. I love his A1. His A1 hits super hard. The heal is, irregardless of how much damage he does, he can weak hit with it and still heal for 15%. It's really nice. I love the double counterattack masteries here. Very good. It's actually decent against even the Head of Torment. So when you get feared, he has a chance to come in and hit. And his A1 hits super hard. His A2, absurd amounts of damage. It's an ally attack. But it hits. It's the hardest hitting ally attack, no doubt, in the game. So you can use him as an ally attacker. That's how crazy it is. So we showcased him in Fire Knight Hard 10, and he works perfectly fine as an ally attacker. He's also a wave clear, and he brings relevant buffs for all damage dealers, increased crit damage and shatter. They can work on all damage dealers. He also provides ignore defense on all his abilities except for his A1, and his passive still very relevant. Revive on death. If he receives 50% of his damage, he does protect the rest of your team okay, relatively okay. And then this counterattack is actually pretty good too because his A1 is so good. I like this champion. I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to be a guarantee. I mean, I'm very sure he's going to be a guarantee during this collab. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for him. He's probably going to cost you either shards or soul stones. It's unlikely it's going to cost both. So make sure you guys save up whatever resources you have so you guys get an opportunity to pick up this guy. I think second highest base defense in the entire game, 1641, including mythicals. So just crazy base defense, good solid multipliers with good damage, crazy damage scaling actually with the ignore defense. And then obviously the buffs on both his A2 and A3. I would say he's a little bit too strong, but he is kind of one-dimensional in the fact that he can't actually go through, Mercurial, Stone Skin, block damage, unkillable. So those are kind of like the big ones. But with his A2, he can kind of go through Mercurial, but it is a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not that good. And he's the initial hitter, and he's only a 1 hitter on this. So even though he hits hard, he's only going to hit right into the Mercurial and then waste his hit, right? So that's kind of how it goes. But I really like this guy. His affinity works against him a little bit, obviously against some of the meta champions like Theodosia, Predator, and stuff like that. So it works against him a little bit, but great champion, deals tons of damage. Really fun to play with. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this showcase, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching until the end. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you guys share with your friends if they're interested. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you guys have any cool ways to use this guy, I would love to hear about it. Appreciate you guys watching till the end. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.